Pathologies. This is a follow up to this Luigi Mangione story. So, not too long ago, we talked about Luigi Mangione. He is alleged to have unalived a man named Brian Thompson, who was the CEO of United Healthcare. He is currently being held in a maximum security facility, I believe, in New York City. I think he's actually in the same building as Diddy Puff, I
Yes, yeah.
believe. Yeah. So, he's everything, they're getting everything together. He's going to go on trial for this alleged crime. And we talked before about how in certain respects he's being kind of heralded as a hero or somebody who did something good and righteous. People
Hmm.
were making merch using the Luigi character from Super Mario Brothers,
That's right.
which of course is his namesake. They put his name on T-shirts and mugs as merch as in sort of a quasi honor of what he is alleged to have done. And
Hmm.
now in a follow up to this, um, apparently his defense fund is ratcheting up. His defense fund currently sits at a nice chunk of change from people who have been donating to it.
Hysterical.
So yeah, so this says Luigi Mangione Defense Fund nears $730,000 after anonymous person makes sizable donation. The defense fund for alleged United Healthcare CEO shooter Luigi Mangione has reached an all-time high thanks to an anonymous donor. Over the last week, Mangione's crowd fundraiser via Give Send Go received a massive $36,500 from the mystery contributor, who explained that they were moved by the widespread support that the accused received following his December 2024 arrest. Mangione, 26, who's currently incarcerated at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, is alleged to have fatally shot late United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. In addition to two federal second degree unalived charges and multiple weapons charges, Mangione entered a not guilty plea to state unaliving and multiple weapons charges. He faces a life sentence without the possibility of parole if convicted. In addition to the defense fund donation, with the fundraiser now over $730,000 and having a goal of 1 million, the anonymous donor posted a comment. What intrigues me about this case is how unified folks' responses are regardless of strata. In corporate America, for instance, there has been widespread doubt of potential prosecutorial mishandling and overcharging. Previously, the highest donation was $30,000 issued to the December 4th legal committee, although Mangione's lawyer, Thomas Dickey, claimed that his client probably wouldn't accept it, as said in a CNN interview. On December 9, 2024, 5 days after Thompson's unaliving, Mangione was taken into custody by authorities at a McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania. Mangione will return to federal court on March 19th. So, what do you make of this, bro? 730 grand
Hmm.
in total thus far to this crowdfunding fund for his defense, including a donation of 30,000, and then this latest one of $36,500.
Yeah, I think this is again, man, similar to the first time around, man. This really just speaks to uh, people's vision of the country right now. It speaks to how they see everything when it comes to the haves and versus the have-nots, and that there's more have-nots running around out here right now, and times are getting harder for everybody. Uh, yeah, man, my trips to the grocery store aren't as fun anymore. Other people like, you know, shopping online, going to the mall if you still do that, you know, buying something here, buying something there, to treat yourself. Treating myself was going to the grocery store. You know what I'm saying? Treating that as an extended pantry and going, hey man, what I got a taste for today? And you know what I'm saying, culinary chef, Michelin 5-star for the night. And I can't really do that like how I used to no more. It's not as fun. especially when I go in there and I'm just trying to make one meal. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to make one meal, and I spent like $42. It was like $42. I was better off going to a Michelin 5-star. You know what I'm saying? Now, granted, I can, there's leftovers and I can use this for that and mix and match later, but it's not the same, man. I used to walk out of there spending $15, you know, but not anymore. So everybody's feeling that, man. People with they little ones running around, other circumstances, taking care of, family or however it may be. Um, these times are getting rougher and rougher, man. And so these companies as well, on top of it, the times getting rougher, they're getting stricter, as if they're not making money hand over fist
and giving you less. Yeah.
and giving you less. So, the insurance industry jacking up prices, finding any little loopholeish reason to make sure they don't pay you out the premiums. A lot of people felt that, you know, and so unfortunately, over the years, people have had people that passed away, and they had to cash stuff in, whether it was life insurance or hospital bills or get things figured out. And now they're figuring out their family members not being covered because pre-existing conditions or X, Y, or Z. This hospital, oh, you went to this hospital. I'm sorry, this is not under our, we don't cover this hospital over here, or whatever rigmarole. A lot of people went through that over the years, and especially as of late, post 2020. You know, a lot of those companies got even stricter with their restrictions when it comes to healthcare. So, which probably sparked this young man to act the way that he did in the first place. But there was a ripple effect of that, of a lot of people that experience trauma with these health insurance companies. So, on top of the hard times, there's also a first person experience, or me, just like a secondhand experience of me knowing people went through that. That when something like this happened, when this Mangione guy does it, uh, other people applaud it. Me personally, I don't condone violence. Okay, I feel like there's other ways to solve things, but there's other people out there that really thought that this was the tops. They thought this was the best thing popping. Back when the situation happened, man, people had jokes in the comment section of ABC and CBS and Fox News whenever they was covering this situation. And I wonder if he had any pre-existing conditions, or oh, I'm sorry, we won't be able to cover this. Well, a lot of people had a lot of jokes about this.
Yeah.
So yeah, the signs of the times, man. I don't know where this leads to eventually in the future. Um, I'm pretty sure there was situations that happened like this before. It probably wasn't as big, where somebody did their own form of vigilante justice on somebody, but this one really made big headlines. I don't condone copycats, but I would not be surprised, especially how this guy is being heralded as the streets hero, that there will be a copycat out there that wants that level of adoration themselves, that ain't afraid to crash out, so long as it means that people pay their legal fees and he can get as much cat as he wants when he gets out. you know. But what are your thoughts, man, on Sir Luigi out here just getting 730,000? Some people donating, mysterious donors, up to 30K plus. What are your thoughts of all of this, man?
Yeah, I pretty much took from it the same thing that you did. I was in the grocery store over the weekend,
Hmm.
and I had the little. I didn't even have a full buggy cart. I had like
No,
the
you don't
the,
need
the,
no. You
the
don't need you
carry
no.
cart. Yeah, like I had the carry cart, and I checked out in the 10 items or less aisle because I didn't even have that much stuff. 10 items or less, and I walked out of there paying $60
Oh, you was at
for
Publix.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
gonna spend 60 at Publix,
Yeah.
bro?
So yeah, so I'm at Publix. I'm in 10 items or
Oh,
less, and I paid $60. And imagine feeding a family on that.
nah, bro. You know what I'm
Because
saying?
me personally, you know, I don't. One thing that I won't go cheap on is food.
Yeah, same, bro.
Yeah. So I don't go cheap on food. I don't go cheap on produce
Mm-mm.
because the long term drawbacks to eating processed, not food that isn't real, fake fruits, fake meats, frozen vegetables. The drawbacks of consuming this to me are not worth,
Agreed.
you know what I'm saying, paying the higher price to put actual food into your body.
Agreed.
So I don't skimp on food and produce personally. So unfortunately, because of that, I have conceded that I'm going to have to pay this food tax. And I go to 10 items or less, and I'm looking around trying to understand how are people feeding families with this outrageous stuff that's going on. So I think the country is at a unique inflection point. I think right now we are at a point that is unique unto American history, in that the skills and the sensibilities needed in order to be future proof aren't being taught on a mass level.
Hmm.
Now, future generations might be able to take advantage of them, but I think if you're 30 plus, if you're 35, 40 plus, which is the majority of people, and you are in that working class group, you're dealing with having to come up with very creative ways to either
Sure.
save money or make more money. You're either having to do that, or you're having to make a decision. Do I go back and get educated again so that I can learn some of the skills that will position me to be successful in these new and emerging markets and economies? People are having to make those choices. Now, if you're on the come up, if I was raising a kid today, I would be strongly steering my kid in that direction. I give my kid freedom, but I'm going to be strongly encouraging my kid, hey, listen, uh, you want to be able to live a comfortable life when you get older. You don't want to have to live financially strapped and uncomfortable. And right now, the ways that you can do that, we're going to have to gear you towards some of these applied sciences and some of these other skills so that we can position you best for success. If my kid isn't artistically inclined, or gonna be a professional athlete, and I have to have some assurances that he or she has a good chance to go down that path, I'm gonna be strongly steering my kid down that road. We need to make sure that we're doing this and taking it seriously, lest you come out on the back end as an adult and struggling with the rest of us. But for fully fledged adults in the world, we're finding ourselves having to make a choice: come up with 2 and 3 other creative revenue streams, go back and get re-educated, or figure out creative ways to penny pinch. And I think all of us are doing a combination of all 3 of those things to a certain extent. And the stress of having to deal with that on a daily basis is really being exacted by people in their daily lives in terms of their daily behavior. Um, Increased incidents of road rage, um, increased incidences of general rudeness, lack of respect and consideration for other people, increased incidences of bad driving, car wrecks, increased incidences of toxic behavior online. All of these things to me are correlated to people's despair economically, in my opinion. And I think that is a microcosm of individuals such as this person who goes out and does something like this. And in turn, people's receptiveness to what he did is also a microcosm of people's economic despair, as
Yeah.
far as I can tell. So the reason why there's a $730,000 crowd-funded effort to monetarily support his defense is because, as heinous as this crime looks, people privately are cheering this on
Yeah.
because they believe it symbolizes um, a get back for how corporations and big wigs at the top have exploited working class people.
Yes.
And people are just over, people are tired of it.
Yeah.
They're tired of it. This is a reflection of modern American economic times. So on the one hand, like you said, bro, I don't condone violence either. I
Yeah.
don't. But at the end of the day, something's got to give. It's like it's like when Katrina came through New Orleans. Like the storm itself didn't do the damage; it was the levee breaking. So eventually, the levee's gonna break on people's disillusionment with how this wealth gap continues to get worse, and how the cost of goods and services continues to rise, despite the lack of a commensurate increase in people's incomes. People are just pissed. They're tired of it. And not everybody, if you're raising a family and you're working 6, 7 days a week, long hours, and your kid wants to play basketball, and you got to pay $200 for good basketball shoes. Or maybe your daughter wants to be a dancer or do ballet. Those classes cost.
Yeah, they ain't cheap.
Stuff is expensive out here in these streets. So not everybody has the wherewithal to take a step back and go and take night classes to get an IT degree, or start a real estate business, or start selling insurance on the side. Not everybody has the bandwidth in their life schedule to accommodate these things. So you got to keep grinding, 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 grinding. Meanwhile, people are getting tired and frustrated.
Yep.
So, I think we're going to see more of it. Like, to this degree, are we going to see more of it? I'm not exactly sure, but people are going to see more of this stuff. And, to a certain extent, I do believe the onus is on the individual to sort of survey the landscape and see what is it that I need to do to be on the better end of this. But I also think that to a certain extent, also, the onus is on people who we put in charge to support and lead these westernized civilizations to develop an adequate infrastructure that can put people in a good position to be able to do that without having to stress over it. And that is failing everybody.
Yes, it is.
That particular aspect of it is failing everybody. So, you know what I'm saying? I can understand why there's a fund that's raised that much money for this dude. Certain people are looking at this dude as a hero. He's like Robin Hood. He did a noble thing. And until that wealth gap ceases to swell, there is a very decent likelihood that this will continue to happen.
Yeah, man. I got a few things here just to touch on the last thing you was talking about there. When it comes to just the people that are in charge or supposed to be facilitating these infrastructures, I agree. But also the people that get into these positions of elected positions are being paid by the very corporations
Exactly.
that are doing this.
Exactly. Which is why, yeah. So they get to make money. You know what I'm saying? They get to make their money doing their thing, servicing the constituents that put them into power, and so it becomes a vicious, never-ending cycle.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And much like how there's other things that are going on in politics where there's checks and balances, for some reason there's no check and balance for that. And that's not by accident. And if you look throughout all of human history, there's always the elite class and there's always the peasants. It's just that America, the system, I honestly, and I'll keep saying this, man, I really feel like the 90s, maybe the early 2000s, but really the 90s was the golden era of consumerism, American way, just money booming, everybody having what they want, doing whatever the hell. And ever since then, I really feel like it's been a steady decline of people's ability to live in excess. And much like how they were taught us, we were taught this form of living in excess because, well, that's consumerism. These corporations aren't going to make their money unless we buy in excess. So everybody has been conditioned to live in excess. But now what you're starting to see, at least I notice it, but what you're starting to witness now on some of these home networks and other things is they're having all of these, hey, live in these shipping containers. Convert your shipping container into and they're trying to sell us this idea of not living in big houses anymore, but living in these very confined small spaces that are maximized,
Yeah,
that are
minimalist. It's called
minimalist.
yeah,
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 this minimalistic way of living.
yeah.
And uh also with the transfer of buying everything online instead of buying in brick and mortar, it's a situation where monopolies can take hold. And whether people like it or not, Amazon in itself or any other business model that wants to follow that is going to crush places like Walmart and stuff. Even when I was working in Walmart in the 2010s, the guy that ran my store, he was talking about, and this was Amazon when it was in infancy stage. He was saying that things like Amazon is going to destroy places like Walmart, and I was like, ain't no way, man. Everybody gonna go to Walmart, and but Walmart, it feels its impact from places like Amazon, but but that's Walmart. Moms and pops and everybody in between, yeah, bro, they're getting swept up in the dust to the point where you're gonna have your online store selling stuff through Amazon. But just sticking on the idea of being conditioned and trained, especially for future generation, of this idea of minimalistic living, and that's not by accident. And so, hell, sometimes when you online just doing your thing, man, I guess it's some of the videos I watch or whatever, but I'll see an ad for this shipping container type living. Hey, man, you can buy this little thing here for $25,000. You can have a whole house for $25,000, and that's what they're trying to sell people. So they are trying to, they are, in my opinion, the future for America is that these uh, big wigs up top are going to continue to be the big wigs, but everybody else, there's going to be a very firm line drawn. And we already know that the middle class is honestly at this point a facade. It's going to be very apparent that there is no middle class anymore, and that everybody's at the poverty line unless you're on the other side of the fence.
Correct.
And so that's what is happening right now. It's pretty much already here, but there's still enough distractions going on where people feel like they can still live a certain lifestyle. You keep playing that game if you want. You know what I'm saying? Your bank account going to be in the red. So it's time for, it's right now. If you're not sitting down, sit yourself down. Whatever you will do, sit down. Because if you keep trying to live like this was 2016, your ass gonna be broke next month. So, and a lot of people living like that right now, and that's not by accident. And they're going to continue this squeeze where corporations are raising prices, everything's raising prices, and jobs are still doing this minimalistic form of pay increases, if any at all, while jobs are also being eradicated by artificial intelligence. So what is going to happen with all of this fodder that's out here in the world? Well, how are these people going to have ways of living? And they're trying to, in my opinion, force a certain kind of Mad Maxian type of living where people are living in these certain conditions. You ain't going to be able to afford a house anymore. And that's intentional. So, yeah, having somebody that's an elected official or somebody like that in a position to try to change those things, it won't happen because, like I mentioned, the very corporations are going to make sure that this trend continues. So you got to do something out here, ladies and gentlemen. I don't have the answer. If I had it, I'd be doing it already and teaching a class on it. All right, but all I'm saying is there is a fire in the building. I don't know exactly where the exit is, but at least I'm hollering that there's a fire in the building. So be alert and try to find a solution. I'll say that.
Yeah, that reminds me of the tiny house movement. I don't know if you were aware
Mm-hmm.
of that. I was back when I used to do the marketing for a local HVAC company in Tallahassee that was family owned. It was a legacy company. And whenever I was looking for content to post on their social media channels, if I ever ran out of stuff to communicate, I would always find these articles about people who were fabricating tiny houses to live in. And that was before the shipping container stuff. That
Mm-hmm.
was when people were trying to say, hey, you don't need a big house, just live in this little small tiny house and
Mm-hmm.
you can live it up and do your thing. And from there it branched off into people in, fabricating tree houses.
Yeah.
The idea was you were living a minimalist lifestyle to curb your expenses but
Right.
still be able to get what you wanted out of life, whatever that means. Uh, and between that and the shipping container stuff, all of this to me is just setting the stage for Judge Dredd. Like
Yeah.
we're gonna be living in Mega City One. You know what
Yes.
I'm saying? It's gonna be
Yeah.
like Fallout, where the rich people are like in huge condominiums, and everybody else is living in a tower that's like 5,000 stories tall, and it's just a slum upon a slum upon a slum upon a slum. But I believe that it is inching closer to that. And the reason why I believe that it's inching closer to that is because right now the mo for um, the mo for developing the technologies and the various things that are going to advance human civilization, it's a very small group of people who are essentially the gatekeepers to having access to learning those skills. So while I don't like by percentage, it's a very very small percentage of people sitting in these rooms developing these apps and developing these tools and these technologies and these AI applications.
Mhm.
Like there, this small percentage of people is developing these things for the masses to consume. So the idea is for the masses to actually use and spend money on this stuff. But those who profit off of it is a very small percentage of people, the Elon Musks of the world, for example. And these individuals are going to continue to get fat while you're paying for access to these things.
Mhm.
And as you're paying for access to these things, you become broker and broker. You know what I'm saying? Now, health insurance companies, your life insurance, your car insurance, all these other service providers that you need to live now raise your rates and your premiums because they in turn also need access to these technologies in order to do what they do better and more efficiently.
Mhm.
So when they get squeezed, now they squeeze you. And as you get squeezed, now there's less discretionary income for you because you're paying out more money for the same stuff.
Yep.
And then you end up sitting there trying to figure out what the hell happened to you. Meanwhile, you're so disgruntled and frustrated that you'll champion a dude who's unaliving somebody who was at the top of one of these corporations.
Exactly.
So it's people's feelings and sentiment and angst and frustration over what's coming. Now, people can feel it, but they might not necessarily see it.
Mhm.
And then there's those individuals, such as I would say myself and you, for example, who see the big picture, the grand idea.
Mhm.
And eventually, this is all going to come to a head, I feel.
Yeah.
But if you're not in position to figure out creative ways to leverage this stuff, you're going to be right there with the rest of us. And I said before on this channel, and I'll say it again. The middle class, as far as I'm concerned, has been completely eradicated.
Mhm.
You either have it or you don't. So I don't know what the number is which qualifies as having it, but if you are at that number, then you are on this side of the Grand Canyon. Everybody else, no matter whether you're making 30, 40, 50, 60, I don't give a damn what you're making. If you're everybody else, you're on the other side of the Grand Canyon. And that canyon is going to continue to shift and get wider as we continue to find new and more creative and effective, albeit more expensive ways for us to live, which is the name of the game. It's an arms race for these resources. And the majority of the population is going to be left on the outside paying to use them, but not being able to make money off of them.
Yeah, man. And last thing I'll say, man, even for small business owners, man, they don't have the overhead to deal with all of these numbers going up. And because they're so small, they're gonna have to really charge your ass, you know. And people go, hey man, well, what's going on here, man? This is a Jamaican food truck, bro. It's a food truck. Okay. It's a Jamaican food truck. And I'm just used to ordering the stuff. You know what I'm saying? Give me the jerk chicken and 4 patties and extra plantains. And man, I spent like $40 on that.
Yep, because they need to integrate modern POSs into their business. So
And
and that's just one expense. So even
and
though it's a food truck, they need the technology to be able to accommodate Apple Pay, debit card transactions, credit card transactions. They need all of this stuff, and they need to pay for all of those things.
and they got to pay their rent.
Yeah,
and they got to make sure they are buying these ever growingly expensive products that they use, because they use good products.
Yeah.
And in order for it to keep tasting that good, they're gonna have to charge me that much.
Not to mention the increased, not to mention oil and gas,
And
vehicle
so
maintenance.
yeah, and so for people, so for me, it went from every 2 weeks or something like that to hell shit. I might have to do that once a month because I buy it and I'll make sure I tip them too. I'll do all that good stuff. But they're gonna feel a loss from me to a degree, and this is going across the board. So even small business owners, some people might have to go under and other things. So these are interesting times. So yeah, just position yourselves accordingly, man. Make sure that you got your ducks in a row. Be out here reading the tea leaves. And if you got a little one out here, man, I honestly would just say, make sure you just get them on game of the scenario they're growing up in. Much like our last topic, they can't be sold go work hard. They will be living in the Judge Dredd cities.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they have to understand the score right now. And right now we're down by 40, and there's only a few minutes left in the fourth quarter. All right. So they're gonna have to know what's going on before they go out there and bust their ass. So yeah, man. Just be safe out there, y'all.
Mega City One that's what we're gonna be living in. Mega City One.
Hey man,
You know.
hey, let us know down in the comments, man. What are your thoughts, man? Why do you believe that the people are behind this Mangione, man? Oh, 730 K for lawyer expenses? People paying that? What do you guys think it is? You guys feel like it's the economy stuff we talking about? Or you feel like it's something else? We probably missed the boat on that. Let us know, man. And make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe while you're at it.
His his crowd funded defense fund is 1/7 of my student loan debt. Do the math on that, people. That should
Hey
tell
man,
you that should tell you the craziness that we living in right now.
Lord have mercy.
Or
Sheesh.
rather, my student loan debt is 1/7 of that total balance. So,
Yeah, we got you. We know what
yeah,
you're getting
do the math on that.
at.
Insane.